Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Business Spotlight. And today we are interviewing a person that is going to tell us about all sorts of very interesting acts and, I want to say, twists and turns through her journey from being a very young entrepreneur, starting her business 14 years ago. Sarah Douglas, the managing director and founder of Nova Events. Welcome to the Business Spotlight, Sarah. Let me just share what I took from your website a little earlier on. A very interesting sentence goes like this: Nova Events provides the most beautiful and talented acts in the industry, and I am sure we're going to learn loads more about that, such as live music, fire, magicians, stilt walking, many more, and living trees. I'm intrigued. I love the photographs on the website. By the way, if you haven't been on Sarah's website, go visit Nova Events. It's an awesome website. Tell us about living trees, Sarah, but actually tell us about the whole thing. Over to you. Nice to see you today on Spotlight. Thanks for joining in.
Lovely to see you too, and thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're
So,
welcome.
the living trees are actually one of my favorite acts as well. They're just
Oh, there.
fantastic. Yeah, we have a few variations of them. So, you mentioned the website. That website is unfortunately a little bit old. We've got a lot more awesome acts coming out. Our new website is going to be launching in the next couple of months. So, you'll see
Yeah,
different variations of the living trees. But
super.
we've got our flower version, we've got our Halloween version, our Christmas versions, and they just blend into the background.
Yeah.
And then I've actually been in one of these costumes before, so I can really give you the lowdown. I did it at a wedding, and we were just blending with the bushes and the topiary bushes all around.
No.
And as the guests were coming past, we just suddenly move and they get the shock of their lives. So it's very,
Oh, wow. And
it
there's
is
people
awesome.
hugging. There's people hugging in well, actually, that came out to me was a living tree. Um, it might be something that people would get a lot of, what's the word? Joy or just comfort from the interaction. That's really super stuff. Brilliant.
I mean, tree hugging is a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, of
there we
course. Of
go.
course. But did make me think. I think, well, most trees are living, but of course they're not people, are they? Inside, as it were. So maybe they are people, but that's a different subject matter entirely.
Something I wouldn't quite know about. So,
Sarah, it's lovely to see you and talk to you today. Thank you so much. So tell us a little more now about the journey from university and you having your the sort of genesis moment where you see a business opportunity, or perhaps it wasn't that, but that's rolled out over 14 years. I mean, really tremendous sort of passage of time there for you. So tell us more about that, please.
yeah, so I started as a dancer myself. I started as a circus performer. So, I've been doing
Oh,
that since
wow.
I was young. So, when I went to university and I met a lot of people, because as I was saying to you earlier, we're Northern and we love to chat to people. And somebody asked me to provide a bunch of dancers. That's when I thought, oh, I'll make some extra money at university. This will be a great kind of addition to my degree just to bring in a bit of an income.
Hmm.
And that kind of continued at more of a slower pace. After I graduated, I thought, let me just continue doing this. I love performing. I just want to perform. I don't want to be sitting in an office. I just want to be out on the stages myself. So the company began in the hopes of me just finding work essentially for myself,
Okay.
and then other people around me as well when I couldn't do a booking or if they wanted multiple people. And that kind of, did a slow incline over the years and everything like that. And it wasn't really until recently, I'd say, just kind of during the COVID time, that I thought to myself, I really want to grow this now and take a step back as a performer
Hmm.
and, let the youngsters of today, the new dancers, the new circus performers take over, and me to just, oversee everything and create something more, because you can't really create that kind of standard when you're always out and about yourself and always doing the gigs yourself. So it was time for me to finally take a step back. But that was definitely at a slower pace than most would find. I was never that, young entrepreneur that's just wants to run a business. It was more so I just wanted to run around with glitter on my face and just, entertain.
Live the dream. Live the dream.
Exactly.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the audience that's going to be watching this video and perhaps listening to it, if they're not watching it, they're going to be coming at their business from all sorts of different directions. There will be the young entrepreneur that woke up one day and decided to be a billionaire. There will be the people that like you started off as what we would call a technician. And it's interesting that a lot of the people that we interview on the Business Spotlight are coming at their business from the angle of technician. And statistically, that's relevant because somewhere in the region of 80% of small businesses are owned by people that start as the technician, so the plumber, the hairdresser, the garage mechanic, whatever, and they end up owning a business or building a business out of that skill. So you're treading a path that's very well worn there, Sarah. So, but you've obviously done something. Let's embellish this point for everybody listening, because you've done something very important. You've transitioned from being a job owning performer to somebody that is a business owner, right?
Yes.
And the managing director of your own company. So would you mind just open that up a little more? Tell us a little bit about that. How did that transition come about?
Well, first of all, I think it's really important to just mention that because I started in the sense of just wanting to perform myself, that was obviously something that led to the success of the company, because passion is everything. Passion is the heart of any company. And I
Absolutely.
think that showed over the years. I'd love to tell you that there was just an epiphany moment that I understand exactly why I swapped, or something shifted inside of me, or why it did. But I honestly can't put my finger on it. And I've really thought about this for a long time. I think it kind of was already before COVID. So I'd love to say it was COVID, that moment that, everyone self-analyzed their lives. And it definitely contributed. During COVID, I was listening to a lot more podcasts. I was like obsessed with Atomic Habits and all these different,
Excellent book.
awesome books.
Yeah,
Yes, such a
yeah,
good
yeah,
book.
yeah.
And I was really, developing on a personal level a lot more. And I think that was it. But it kind of did start before COVID. So as I say, I don't really have an excuse as to what created that shift. I just knew that I wanted to take a step back and kind of build something now. And my
Okay.
kind of headspace was more in that entrepreneurial spirit than a performer.
So did you sit down and create sort of, if you like, the vision and then build a pathway, business planning? Did you leverage tools like that? If you did, tell us what you did. We'd love to know.
So I think I've tried every tool out there. I've done all the mind mapping, I've done all the flow charts, everything like that. But if I'm perfectly honest, I just have a clear kind of end goal of what I want in mind. I've got, that
Excellent.
vision in mind.
Yeah,
And when I've got that end goal, a lot of people have these end goals and they do absolutely nothing in order to achieve them.
million
And I
percent.
think, yeah, it happens a lot. And I love to set actual goals, like smaller goals, and
Yeah.
break it all down on how to achieve that kind of final product, which never is a final product, because once you get something, you always want the next one. So I break it down into, smaller goals, and I just focus on the day to day and kind of creating that path, in order to get there and to get to the right place.
So you're describing, without using the same words that we would use here at Power Play, you're describing what we would call focused behavior every day, FBED, which is a little acronym that we work with. Um, because in reality, what we set as a mid to long term business objective, or even a shorter term business objective, it's only going to become a reality if you do the correct things today,
Yeah, I
isn't it?
think that's really important. I think a lot of people, new year, new me, prime example, everyone just sets these random goals and New Year's and never achieves them because it's just a random comment they say to their friends, and there's no structure in place, there's no systems there to actually be able to achieve that goal. Or it's just super far-fetched, and that's a goal that is 10 goals from now, and you should maybe break it down to smaller achievable goals.
Yeah, again, very pragmatic, and obviously, and I think what everybody's getting a feel for here is the clarity that sits in Sarah's mind as a business leader. It's clearly very, um, yeah, it's very powerful, very intriguing, because that is a huge lesson for the small business owner out there that wants to emulate what you guys are doing, but for whatever reason is finding they aren't. And the reality there, Sarah, is that everything that we have, positive, negative, is a reflection of us. So it's directly flowing from you. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about vision. We've talked a little bit about the planning process. Are you the kind of business leader that writes things down? Are you getting it out of your head into a piece of software, an Excel spreadsheet? Are you planning the next quarter in detail like that, or are you doing something else? How does it work for you?
So I'm one of those niche people because I'm kind of a creative and I'm also a business person. You don't get many. So it's a bit messy and then I kind of make sense at the same time. So I've got a bit of a jumbled mind. So I have kind of created flowcharts and I do map stuff that way sometimes. But most of the time I just make notes. My Google Drive is like a hard drive of, I've got a folder called my brain, and inside my
Yeah,
brain, I just write down all my little stuff and make
love it.
of how I want to get there and what I want to achieve. And I usually do it
Fantastic.
based on the year.
Yeah.
Um, and then obviously I'll kind of focus that within certain months of different focus. Um,
Okay.
then from that, I'm a big time blocker. I love time blocking. My social media manager introduced me to Asana, and I
Yeah.
use that for just my day to day time blocking, list, tasks, all that kind of stuff.
So wow. I mean, again, for the benefits of embellishing what you've just said there, and also for everybody tuning in, um, you know, time management as a subject. There's a million books on the subject. There's goodness knows how many different resources. But from my perspective, time management is a fallacy. It doesn't exist. It's not possible to manage time. Time is simply a measurement, really. It's something that some clever people worked out, that there are, a certain number of seconds, minutes, hours in a day. Or it can be chunked up in that way, if that makes sense. What we're really talking about, Sarah, is self-management, aren't we? We're talking about the art of discipline of self-management. So to hear somebody that is business planning for the 8 or 10 or 12 hours ahead of her in that day, that is world class. That is what you would be very surprised how few people are doing that.
Well, I
Really,
think
truly.
it's important to note the word that you've just used as well, discipline. I
Yeah,
feel like a form of self-love. I mean, self-love is discipline. And if you want to get anywhere, if you want to develop on a personal level or on a business level, in order to achieve that optimum self-love, it's essentially disciplining yourself to get where you want to get to.
absolutely. So okay, well, I think we're starting to understand a little bit more about why Nova is doing what it's doing, because it's following your lead. Um, can we talk a little bit now about your perspective on external influence? So what we're finding here throughout these interviews is there's a very clear common thread connected to all the things we're discussing. One in particular is a business leader's propensity to be open to external influence. So that could be mentoring, it might be coaching, it might be non-executive directors, etc. So what's your twist on that? Where are you in that particular space?
Um, I think that when you stop asking questions or stop listening to others, you stop growing. And I think it's very important to surround yourself with people that, it sounds very selfish, but that you can take something from. I think everyone gives something. Somebody is always going to be more knowledgeable about one topic than I am. and I always ask questions. Everyone knows me for asking questions. I just want to know everything that goes on in everyone's brain. I just want to absorb all the information. And so I do think it's really important to surround yourself with the correct people, and with people that maybe inspire you in different ways, whether that's somebody that's helping you on a fitness journey, or whether that's somebody that is in business that you've seen grow something and you want to kind of understand how they've done it and nurtured it. Or even whether it's somebody who's in a super healthy relationship and you're trying to work on relationship skills and interpersonal skills and things like that. I think if you don't have somebody to get something from, or maybe to provide an external kind of view into your business, sometimes you're too close to everything and you really need to you really need to have a step back and have a look, and somebody else can do that in a very good way.
Yeah, no, it's an enlightened answer. I think the simple reality is that because the technician that will often start up a business because they've had classically, as the Michael Gerber book, the E-Myth or E-Myth Revisited states, the entrepreneurial seizure at some point. They've gone, yeah, why am I working for this person? Why am I not doing this myself? They then develop, if we're not careful or they're not careful, they develop a narrative or a paradigm which it gets them to a certain point, um, but because they're technician based and not perhaps educated, with all due respect to those lovely people, to be open, to be sponges, not rocks, then they limit themselves, Sarah, 100%. So really interesting, good stuff we're talking about here. Can we take you in a different direction now? Let's talk a little bit about the values. Let's talk about the values of Nova. What work have you done on your value systems, your value ecosystem? And how do you get those values across to A, your people, B, your clients? Be interested to understand more about that.
Whilst I think it's important to have that kind of, company logbook and have everything in writing and discuss things when you're hiring people and things like that, I also just think it's important to take charge of the values personally, on a personal level, as a director or as somebody running the company, and just showcase them yourself. And if you're projecting those values, your team and your staff will follow suit. And I genuinely believe that's the best way of doing it. So, some of the values that I'd focus personally on for our company would be creativity, um, excellence, obviously, in all areas of life. It's always good to achieve.
Absolutely.
Authenticity, because I always think, I started this company because I wanted to create that kind of happiness amongst people. So I'd like that voice to, be instilled in all of the performers. And fun and passion. And I think fun and passion may not suit everyone, but you can't be a true performer without them. And you can't work for an entertainment company without them, because it's so important to bring that kind of heart and bring some sparkle and joy. And that's really what we're trying to achieve.
The word that springs to mind as you're talking there is energy.
Energy is, I'm so like obsessed with energy, because
Yeah,
you're going to always receive the energy that you put out.
yeah,
So I've always found that, I don't know, if somebody's being rude to you and you're super nice back, they're thrown. They're like, oh, and then they're nicer all of a sudden. And
that's
I
right.
just think if you're giving this energy off, then people give it back to you. So as a director, if you're giving that to your team,
Absolutely.
they will give it back to you, which is great. And as a performer, it's literally your job to go out and create that energy and buzz at events. So it's very important here.
Isn't that lovely? It's the old adage, isn't it? Sort of the show must go on. In other words, it's. We always take this view here that the energy in a coaching space is the energy that we bring. So in other words, um, it's not the client's responsibility per se to bring the energy. It's the coach's responsibility to set the tone, to set the, you know, the pace. And it's the same for the entertainer, isn't it? If you're going into a situation where you're entertaining and you're relying on the audience to bring the energy, then that's going to be an interesting outcome, I would suspect, right?
It's not
Yeah.
going to be very good.
Absolutely. And but let's keep pulling this particular thread a little bit. Is it fair to say that all business, when it's done well, is really a form of performance? You know, there's a degree of performance. You're answering the phone in your cafe, or you're welcoming somebody to the table in the restaurant, or you know, somebody pulls up with their car that needs new tires. It's the energy and the sparkle and the performance, the X factor, maybe that's the phrase, I don't know, it is the difference, right? It's the difference between the one that gets the repeat business.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, you are what you're putting out there. So you're going to get back that energy that you're giving, and you're always going to have to take on a certain role in any industry. You're right.
So you wake up this morning, you've got a performance this afternoon, which might be to a client, it might be to a team member, but you don't feel great. You had a tough night's sleep or a bad night's sleep. How do you step into that space? For me, that's a really relevant question, not to the specificity of your uh, particular business, Sarah, per se, but to any level 3 business owner that's going to be driving a successful enterprise. They will have figured out that when the lights come up, it's showtime, right? I
Yeah.
love I love that. That's a great analogy. And we've interviewed some fantastic people throughout this series, and that's the first time that we've really discussed energy and performance. That's very, very cool. Thank you for helping us open that one up. Okay, so we've talked about business planning, we've talked about vision, other way around. We go vision, planning, we talked about values, we talked about energy. Can we talk a little bit about marketing now?
Yes.
So, so we believe here that the two most critical pillars of a successful company will be the people in it and the marketing of it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, whatever it might be. So, um, what does marketing mean to you guys? How do you approach that? You've already mentioned social media a few moments ago. Tell us a little bit more about how the marketing machine at Nova works.
Well, I have made a lot of errors in my business life. I wasn't a
Good.
business person. I didn't study business. I didn't really know what I was doing for the first X amount of years. And because of those errors, I feel like I've learned a lot from it. So, as I was mentioning before about the website, I think marketing is very important. I think a website and your homepages on your social medias is very important. Now, I built the current website that you'll see at the moment with my view in mind, very what I wanted to put out to the world, what I thought that we needed to put out there.
Yeah.
What I really didn't think of is what my clients wanted and the client journey, and focus in my marketing based on the client. And that's exactly why we're currently building a new website at the moment, because our current one doesn't align with what I believe the client needs to see at a specific time. It's a lot more user friendly, it's a lot more targeted, so they can find the exact act that's right for their event, which I think is very important. And I think with all marketing, you need to take a step back from what you want to give people in the world and see what they want from you. And so I think focusing on your social platforms with that in mind, and focusing on your website and things with that in mind, and also choosing your team with that in mind as well, is very important. I think it's crucial to have a great team that isn't just great at their job and the technical side of their job, but that aligns with what you want the brand to be, basically. And it doesn't need to be the same as you personality wise, because
Mm.
differences are great. Differences help. If somebody can challenge me or bring a different point, I want that person on my team.
The level of I'm not having to pull. I don't know if anybody's noticing this that's watching. I'm not having to pull these thoughts out of your mind. They're there. Sarah. So the level of this conversation and the thinking on your side of the equation is really excellent. So forgive me for if that sounds trite. I don't mean it to, but genuinely, it really is. So
Yeah.
let me just unravel one or two of the things that you've mentioned there.
Hmm.
So how many websites do we see out there? How many businesses are marketing themselves because they think that's what needs to be said? They think it. It's down to that narrative again, that paradigm. How qualified are they truly to understand what their client or their target customer really requires? So for me, you were leaning into the space of an excellent book. I don't know if you've read this book, but certainly I've mentioned it before on Business Spotlight. So everybody watching, please access this book through Audible or buy a copy. And the book is called They Ask, You Answer.
I've not read it yet.
Okay.
I do
So,
know a bit.
great. Well, Marcus Sheridan, who we're very aligned with here, we're fortunate enough to know Marcus and um, to work with him a little bit. It, his book it's aging a little bit now. I think I first picked that book up in 15, 16, so it's rapidly coming up 10 years old. And I know that Marcus is aware of this, that the digital it's a book based around outbound marketing. um, so as opposed to, sorry, forgive me, let me correct myself there, it's inbound marketing focus rather than
Right.
outbound focus. And it is written in the era pre-AI. So what we've got, and Marcus is now busy evolving his theories to integrate more with AI. But if we just push AI out to the side for a moment, what we've got there is a book that drills into the necessity for the effective marketer to answer the questions that the target customer actually wants to know the answers to, right? And
Yeah.
that's the key to it, isn't it? You get that right, and the rest of it starts to fall into place. Rather than telling people what we think they should do or know, let's understand what they actually want to know. Really interesting. I love the fact you picked up on that. That's great. I also like the idea of the making sure that you're it's actually coming slightly away from marketing, but it is interwoven, making sure that your people are aligned with your philosophy, with your brand. Let's say culturally, value based. So again, that's excellent for people watching and listening. Take a leaf out of Sarah's book there. So bringing the conversation back to marketing and AI, what you've got a new website coming through. Are you building AI into it? Are you going to add it later? What are your thoughts there?
So we are building something into it that is going to automate options for clients so they don't have to think so much. It is going to be very similar to AI, the technology that we're using, that's going to generate some recommendations based on what the client may want for their event. So whether they've got an indoor and outdoor event, the type of event, so community, corporate, nightclub, obviously we cover all different types of events. So a children's party is not going to want the same as a nightclub does. So we need to kind of narrow down our acts. We've got hundreds and hundreds of acts, so we just want to narrow down our acts for our clients in the quickest, most effective way. So that will be predominantly what our new website will be doing, yes.
So they ask, you answer, right?
Absolutely, which is about time. I learned my lesson a bit too late, but at least I've learned my lesson.
You learned the lesson, right? That's don't absolutely. That's
It's something.
the technician-based business owner is by definition probably not a marketing expert or a recruitment
No.
expert or a leader and manager by profession. It's learned along the way, or you're smart and you get external guidance on the subject. So marketing planning. Just a quick one on this one. How do you plan your marketing? How do you make sure that your team know what they're doing?
So with our marketing at the moment, it is a bit messy just because we're not doing any sort of a Google marketing or any sort of digital marketing apart from the social platforms up until our new website is launched, just because that makes the most sense to us at the moment. But for our social marketing and everything at the moment that we do, our social media manager, Beth, and me meet every fortnight or every month and just make a big plan about what we want to see and how things are doing and review that.
Okay.
And then we do a week by week plan. She submits it to me and I go through it with approvals or notes, and that feedback is then taken on board, and then she puts everything into effect.
And is Beth internal or external?
Well, she was internal, but actually she's now started up her own
She's
agency.
flipped out the other way, right? Okay,
She
that's
does have
cool.
her clients as well, which is awesome.
Yeah. So you're helping, you're facilitating somebody else's journey into the business ownership world. I think that's fantastic, right?
Well,
Is it
she's always had a knack for it, so I think it's a great move for her as well.
good? So again, people watching, listening, mindset of some people would be negative attached to that subject matter. Well, again, I think that's enlightening, really excellent. So measurement then, last question, measurement of marketing results. How are you and Beth handling that? How do you know which strategies are generating the inquiries and really working for you?
I can't take any credit for that because I just get all the nice fancy reports that she puts together.
Okay, so
It-
there's data though, right? There's
It's
data.
all analytics, all numbers. I mean, for a creative like myself, it's terribly tedious, but it is necessary for any business owner to look at the
Love
analytics.
it.
And
Yeah, love it.
it's not just the numbers though. So analytics plays a big part in, if there's any increased turnover, increased booking amounts, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I talk to a lot of clients directly, obviously. I mean, I've had some of my clients since the very beginning. So also just taking on board feedback from them, direct feedback from clients is really important. I think just listening to everyone and what everyone's got to say, and even what the team has to say as well, is very important.
They ask you answer. I mean, I hate to say it, but Marcus has both nailed it on that. You're going to enjoy reading that book, I can tell. Sarah, I am finding myself. There's now another thread here in this series, and it follows this question. What we've learned today, and everybody watching will have learned an awful lot. And so, thank you very much for sharing and for engaging. We really appreciate it. Um, But the but is that your business is an ever moving, evolving phenomena. And therefore, we'd love you to come back at some point in the future and do this again so that we can perhaps go down slightly different pathways. We can look at the things that you've evolved since we spoke last. Would you be happy to do that for us?
I'd love to. I feel like you've actually caught me at the middle or the beginning of like our growth journey at the moment. So it would be very interesting to see how we are in 5 years' time or a couple of years' time.
So just to finish on this question then, what are your growth expectations? Not don't quote numbers at us in terms of turnover, but what kind of expectation percentage growth are you guys pinning to the board, as it were, over the next let's say not 5 years, let's say 3 years.
So when I talk about growth, I'm talking about the internal team. I'm really focused at the moment on developing a senior team within the agency. And
Excellent.
so I think rather than focusing on numbers, I just want to get the right people in place at this point. And then I know that the numbers will follow when I have those people.
Again, wow. Again, people get so caught up with numbers, don't they? And they forget that numbers are an outcome of doing the business well. Great businesses don't struggle for numbers, Sarah. Wow. Okay, we're loving this. Thank you so much for your time today. Brilliant interview. Good luck with the next phase, and we will invite you back. Okay, so we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.